appreciate all of you that showed up, both our candidates and our audience members. This event is being put on by the Lynn Chamber of Commerce. If you do not know what the Chamber does, we are a group that meets monthly to organize and put on events, parades, community yard sale, Christmas lighting contests, and other things for the town. We also discuss ways to improve the businesses in our small town. Our meetings are open to the public, and we invite anyone that wants to come see what we are about to come sit in for a meeting or two. New members are always welcome as well. This nation's government is supposed to be of, for, and by the people, so it is important for the people to stay informed on important issues, participate in public forums, and vote for the best candidates that share their beliefs and will fight for their values. As citizens, it is our right and our duty to vote. In this small town, just 1 or 2 ballots left sitting on a table can change the outcome of an election. So we ask you, please, fill out your ballots, get them turned in time. Your vote, your voice matters. So please get your ballots filled in and turned in on time, as I said. Tonight I plan to conduct this forum as fairly as possible, allowing the candidates to introduce yourselves, answer questions, and share of yourselves with the townspeople. Each candidate will have an approximate 2 minutes to introduce themselves and what they stand for. Then we will ask about some important issues where each candidate will have a chance to answer. These questions have been compiled from a variety of sources and community members. So let's get started. Oh, and never mind. I thought I deleted part of my stuff. It's still here. Let's start with a brief introduction. 2 minutes, like I said. This time I have my wife running a stopwatch. Thank you, Ms. Beaver, for your help. I apologize to anyone that feels the amount of time afforded to everyone last time was unfair in any way, was not intentional. Hosting the candidate forum is completely new to me, and I hope to learn from it and improve tonight, as well as in the future if I am afforded this opportunity again. So we'll start just one end to the other and give your introductions and tell people why they should vote for you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Schmuck. I've lived here for 17 years. It's my husband in the back gray. I was the mayor from 2010 until 2018. I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for almost as many years as I've lived here. I'm currently the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I wanted to thank you for being our moderator tonight, Robert. It's a tough job, I know. I want you to also know that the Chamber has talked about everything being fair and that none of the candidates were involved in anything to do with any of the questions tonight. So all of us are completely in the dark about what questions there may be. I know that there were some comments about the last meeting, so I wanted to clear that up. And nobody at the last meeting had any heads up about what questions were either. I want to run for town council because I have the knowledge about this town, I have the training, and I want to help this town. We need to have a functioning council that works together with the mayor, and we need to do things that are in the best interest of our community. Right now, I don't think that the amount of transparency is there where it needs to be, and I also think that our newer council members haven't been properly trained, and I would like to help them to know their positions so that we can all work together to make this a great place to live. I'm concerned about water. I want to look for grants. I'm concerned about how the town looks and any kind of infrastructure projects that we need to do. I feel the town has been going in a reactive kind of a situation, and it needs to be proactive. We need to know in the future what needs to be done. So please vote for me, and please remember to vote. It's very important. I'd like to see our town run well.
I'm Myra Gordon, and I've lived in Lynn all of my life. I served as town clerk treasurer for 14 years. I have been on the council for 6, and I sub where I'm needed, and I have experience with budgets, and I've worked under 2 mayors and a variety of council members and employees. So I believe I have the knowledge to move forward. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jim Wheelan. We moved here about 5 years ago from Nevada. I retired from the education system there. Spent 24 years in the military, so I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people. The wife says that I give her the Reader's Digest version of everything, the condensed, just no frills, no nothing. So I'll try to be a little bit more specific tonight. I'm not a long-winded kind of a person anyway, but what you see is what you get. I don't believe in playing games. I'm here to work for the town, for the folks of the town. And Jamie said it pretty well. You know, we've got to make some improvements. I would like to see something that would draw people into town, if not on a permanent basis, but at least come to like big art shows or car shows or something that we can bring a little bit of funding in to the town and help us out. We've got to get our water taken care of. We've got some opportunities to make some improvements, and I would like to be part of that. I'm not always necessarily sure what it is, but I will research, look it up, find the answers, and I don't believe in blowing smoke. So anyway, what you see is what you get.
Hi, I'm Jim Borshak. I've lived here since 1992. I served in the military during Vietnam. I felt from the beginning when I was initially asked to serve on the town council that we are always in a motion to make our town better by whatever means are necessary, that are legal and right. There are areas of concern, water being one. I've written to various members of Congress, both Senator Murray and Senator Campbell, as well as other members of the state organization as well. And I believe that the mandate that I was given to clean up the town and make it a more healthy and livable and affordable place, and to continue in that effort if I'm re-elected. Thank you.
This is going to be a little bit of a memory test for y'all. Thinking back to the last candidate forum, would you like to re-answer, maybe clarify an answer, or finish an answer that you might have gotten cut off on time last time? Start with you, Jim.
Basically, I said then what I'm saying now. I believe that I was looking for the opportunity to do so. So thank you.
I can't think of anything. I think I was given adequate time to answer, and I don't think I have anything else to add right now.
I do not have anything to add.
Well, that's a long question.
I don't have anything else to add either. I felt like I talked quite a bit at the last meeting, so.
And this one's going to be similar, and I guess maybe we'll get the same kind of answer. But again, thinking back to the last candidate forum, is there a question you feel that one of your, and just to clarify, your opponent would be Myra, Jamie, you two. So instead of doing, questions to everybody, it's, 2-on-2, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Again, thinking back to last candidate forum, is there a question you feel your opponent did not adequately answer that you would like to clarify or follow up on?
No, I believe she answered the question.
No, you are straining my brain. No, I can't think of anything.
I believe that
Should
everybody,
we watch the YouTube video or something?
I believe that each one of us, clarified their position. Nobody that's on this panel now or that was available at the last candidate meeting said anything that needed to be constructed as discussing to their opponents.
You guys are gonna like this one now too. I started this in with Jim. I would like you to ask your opponent a direct question that you think will highlight or contrast the difference between the two of you.
Really?
Oh, you're killing.
About the only thing that I can think of is where have you served in any capacity somewhat similar to this?
Similar to this, I have not been on the town council. Say again?
School board.
Yeah, so I'm on the school board right now, involving decisions that we don't necessarily like, but the state says that you're gonna like it or you'll be in trouble. So, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to learn to live with. Of course, in the military, working your way up the ranks, you're asked to do things that you don't want to do, or you don't think is right, but nonetheless, you take orders, you give orders. So, you know, other than that, I really, of course, I was the teacher's representative for the union when I was in Nevada at the high school. So, you know, other than that, I don't have any letters behind my name, anything like that, so. That's it.
Same question to you. What would you like to highlight a difference or ask of?
I really can't think of anything. I attend as many town council meetings as I remember to go to. And so I pretty much, you know, see how you operate, how you do things. So I really don't have anything.
Well, I'd like to do that.
Myra?
You want to read it again?
Basically, the gist of it, ask your opponent something that you think highlights a difference or a contrast between the two of you. Basically, the voters is choosing between you two right now, so if you can't point out a difference in you guys, why you're better or worse, or ask a question that would highlight something, I mean, the voters really have no choice, if you get what I'm saying. So it's kind of on you guys to either shine or not.
Are we willing to work together and stand up for what we actually believe in?
Of course, I always have. I don't believe I have a question. I just want to say that I'd like to, since I met you when I first moved here, you're a good person. I know that the position is a tough one. I do. But I think we need some changes on the council and a better way to convey to the community. And the way that it's been going is there's a lot of behind the doors and not necessarily you. I told you, it's not about you. I just think it's time for a change for our community to be able to function and work together and not have so much stress and anger because people don't get questions answered. And that's what I'm here to help do.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Whiteman. I'll try to bounce around and let different people go first instead of just going to the end. There's less of us to, or less of you guys, I guess I should say. So, based on what you know about the town, what will your number one priority be? And what actions will you take if elected to council to better Lynn?
I think the number one thing was the water. Even now, I've been doing some research on the costs of drilling wells, lengthening the depth of wells, water storage, and that kind of thing. That would be my number one priority. And then there's also the priority of the town's appearance. It kind of looks shabby. I mean, I'm not here to point the finger at anybody, but, you know, and even as a community, we kind of need to make sure that we can keep our own houses clean before we complain about other people. But those are probably two things. Maybe a third thing, to try to bring in new income somehow, incentives for people to move here. Once we get the water situation squared away, then people would be more willing to move into town and maybe open businesses and make the town grow. Those are probably my top three.
Mr. Dorshak?
Yes, as I alluded to earlier, I've been in contact with, but the subject of the matter of what I'm proposing is, we all know, and if we don't, we should, that the aquifer is declining. It has been declining for a long period of time. Okay, so the solution of drilling wells can only go so far. There are no immediate concern, but there are other ways of getting water. Number one, draining off of either the Snake or the Columbia. Also, as aircraft carriers, because I know them intimately, they do have desalination units to make salt water into fresh water. And as they are decommissioned, it would not be hard to acquire that either as a town entity, but primarily as a regional entity. We're not the only ones that have water problems. If you look at every town council and every town in the area, they're all complaining about water not being in a plentiful supply. This also brings up the point of, if we had more water, we would be able to entice growth, which I believe is another quality that we need to acquire and maintain.
Jamie? You're up.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, of course, water is the top priority. The appearance of our town, the safety in our town is of great concern. You hear all kinds of stories, crazy things going on around here. I would be happy to try and work with the sheriffs to see if we could get some more coverage in our area. I know that in the past we've tried to do a community block watch. We have some people that drive around at night now trying to help out, to put a finger on who it is that's running through our backyards and taking our things. And I think that's really important because people should be proud of the town they live in. When they bring their family and friends, they should be excited to show them the whole town, the parks, where the kids play, that kind of thing is really important to families. So I'm very knowledgeable about getting grants, and I think our town really needs to work on bringing back some relationships with funding agencies and with our senators and our representatives. I speak with them often, and I know that they're working hard on trying to help get water this direction, which is comforting. But in government, everything takes a long time. So that's what it's for.
I agree on the water issue. We need to get that resolved. And we need more teeth in our ordinances for people to follow them. And in time talking about law enforcement. We have tried to get a sheriff to come into town, but it was cost prohibitive. We would have had to furnish the car, the insurance, everything he needed to perform his job. And we just couldn't do it. But like you said, we do need more police coverage. Thank you.
As a council member, do you have any plans to improve upon the education of other council members, town workers, abilities, and work ethic to get projects started or done in a more satisfactory manner? It's a reader or somebody else sent me the question, and I'm trying to put it together.
Would you like me to go? Or can you start?
You're fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Read that once more. Make sure that I answer it.
I'm getting too confused.
As a council member, do you have any plans to improve upon the education of other council members as well as the abilities and work ethic of town workers to accomplish the tasks that they're given in projects?
Yes. I think that education for the council people is at the top of the list. If they don't know what their job is, they're less likely to ask questions at meetings because they don't want to be embarrassed thinking that a question might be stupid. But as I've been told at the trainings I've been to, there's never a stupid question. The only stupid thing is not to ask. So there are programs which we've used in the town before where representatives from a company come in and they work with our council and the mayor together at the same time. It's an open public meeting, so the public is welcome to come. And in the past, when I was mayor, I included the town employees. It was a great bonding and getting to know each other type of a deal. And that way people got a better idea of what was important to each of the different people. But yes, I would definitely I would push for it, to have somebody come in and do a group training face-to-face, not on the computer, and be able to answer the questions about government and how we do our job to everybody in the room. I think that's very important.
Marla?
Well, I think that everybody that is on the council and whatever does need the training. And we have a gentleman that helps our employees to learn their job and do it to the best of their ability.
Mr. Weedman?
I am of the opinion that there are three different kinds of learners: the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. Some of us they can learn by reading, other people learn by hearing, and other people do by learning. And I am one of those that I would like to go to conferences where I can sit and look at people and talk to them and ask questions rather than go online, read the information, and try to learn that way. So I am definitely one that would shoot for going to these trainings, learning everything I can. And there are some things, just life experiences, that teach you things that some people may not know. So, talking to each other is a good way of getting information. People that have had the experience, like, Jamie or Jim or Myra, who have been in the position and they learn some of the ins and outs. Anything you can do to better yourself. A lot of jobs you get a pay raise if you take some classes. That kind of thing, or you're promoted because you've done all these steps and so forth, and you've bettered yourself, and you become pretty much not a real expert, but you become more knowledgeable than maybe the next guy. and they can depend on you. You're the go-to person, they can ask questions. Brianna knows a lot about the procedures of meetings and that kind of thing, and I am not afraid to ask questions. Thank you.
Okay, there are education programs available. Some are online, some you can attend conferences where you can interact. New council members, when they come on, are also afforded the opportunity of attending these the symposiums and other classes to enlarge their knowledge. And there's always ongoing things that you can get into. Washington City's also has various programs that you can sign up for, given the opportunities. Okay.
Instead of waiting for things to deteriorate, fail, or enter a state of emergency for residents, what will you do to get in front of the town's water and infrastructure issues?
Who's that for?
Let's start with Myra.
Well, we would need to assess the problem and have somebody who is very knowledgeable on what the problem is and how to fix it.
The town possesses a 6-year plan of improvements that the town is going to need eventually. There is a list that's already there for people the council to look at and to decide what's the next direction that we need to go. There's also, especially with the water system, there's a list of things that our engineer over the years has put down as items that need to be done. And you just get a hold of that list, you look at it, and you figure out what items can go together. They all kind of have dates as to this is probably the next thing we really need to do, and then further down the list. But if you can get funding for 2 or 3 of those line items and do it with the first one that's your top priority and do it all at the same time with the funding in place with grants and usually a small loan, sometimes you can get 100% grant. You just go from there. And of course, with the town, you have all the things that just pop up, like water lines that break and different things. So sometimes you have to go and throw something to the top of the list, but there is that available for the council to work with. And I would encourage it.
Mr. Dorshak?
Okay, I don't wish to beat a dead horse, but as the aquifers that we are using are declining, there are also other towns that are implementing new housing, and they're going to be using that as well. Okay. The things that I propose and talk to various congressmen, and will continue to do so, is to think outside the box. Okay. The priorities, but water is number one. Without water, the towns do not grow. And if you want to, and there are other people that can join in and write to your congresspeople and ask them what they're doing about getting water from either the Snake or the Columbia River, how far along the project is, if there even is one. If not, ask the question why. Why not? Okay. The groundwater is not going to be there forever. It's that simple. Short term, we need to get started on drilling a new well, as well as getting the ones
Okay, well, the military has a program called PMCS, Preventative Maintenance Checks and Services, and they have that with everything. There's a schedule for maintenance. Things wear out, and it has to be looked at by a certain date to prevent it from going down permanently. And that's basically what the accounting is for everything. The water systems, the pumps, the vehicles, the equipment. When was the last time the oil was changed in the trucks? When was, and write everything down. It has a schedule. And if you can catch things early, it prevents major problems and major expenses. It's a lot easier to change an oil than it is an engine. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So,
Go ahead. Say
so
something in regards to that.
So anyway, you gotta keep on top of things. Our water lines suck, let's just say. They blow out and they have to be adequately repaired or it's just gonna keep doing it. It's like adding a new patch to an old piece of cloth. It's just gonna keep tearing out. So, we just have to make sure that we know when things need to be done and try to stay on it as funding allows.
In reference to that, the town workers that we have do have a schedule for maintenance of the vehicles. They do have a schedule for various and sundry water lines, sewer system, that when we can accomplish that. So we're in the process. We only have 2 people. And
you guys touched a lot on the water, but I think you're forgetting where the water goes, which is the sewer system. And I also got questions from people, what about the sewer system? Why haven't they been flushed? Why haven't they been maintained? I'm the one who receives the questions, and people are concerned with that sort of thing. So I'll let you each go back through and kind of reiterate or expand into that, because you all touched on the water, but not the other end. That's still infrastructure of the town that is old, that is needing flushed, that is needing maintenance, etc.
if I remember correctly, we do have a schedule for flushing the sewer lines.
Has it started or?
It has started, but I cannot tell you exactly where it is currently. But I know that we have been asked that question, and we're trying to accomplish that goal as well.
My question is, are our employees knowledgeable on how to do it? Because we have a schedule, doesn't mean we follow it because we don't know how to do it. And that's one of the things that we need to look at is it something that our employees can be trained at, without spending a lot of money? Because I know money is a big issue. I guess we have a problem with pumps, motors, that kind of thing down there at our sewer plant. I'm sure that they're on some kind of a schedule, but number one, does anybody pay attention to it? And number two, do they know what to look for? As far as any kind of damage that's starting to happen to the pumps, the lift station, any of that kind of thing.
Well, I remember we do have a water engineer in Jordan City, and he does work at trying to stay ahead of the pumps.
Try to stick to your term, Jay.
I'm sorry?
Try to stick to your term, Jay.
Okay, absolutely.
Not trying to be disrespectful, but she is time to this time, and we're trying to be a little more fair because there's accusations of unfairness. Because I let you talk at the end last time for quite a while. I try to be respectful, let people make their answers, but there's got to be some balance to it.
Okay.
Ms. Myra?
We will
will be flushing the sewer system shortly, so.
Wastewater treatment plant was brand new just a few years back. I understand that with any item in your infrastructure system, parts and things go bad, and you have to fix, repair, get new parts. It's sad that the town has not been flushing the sewer mains yearly. I don't even know if the fire hydrants are being flushed yearly anymore, but it's extremely important. And it's also important when somebody calls and says that their sewer's backing up into their basement or to their house, that you send a crew out there and have them flush the lines around that area to make sure that it's not a clog in the main line. Sometimes by the town doing the flushing of the main lines, it moves something that might be in the homeowner's line and helps it to flow again. So this is what I'm familiar with, is yearly flushing, the fire mains being run every year, and also helping out when people call and say, hey, my sewer's backed up. The town can do that, and I know other towns do that also. When there's a report, they respond by flushing the mains around that area. We need people that are trained to take care of all those different parts, of course. I was fortunate enough to have somebody with experience who trained the newer people. That isn't the case at the moment, but I think on council, that would be a main goal, to get somebody in here, whoever that might be, to show the current staff how to do it properly. Of course, education is always very important, and following and maintaining a system yearly is important.
This next one, like I said, a lot of these got submitted. Some of them were kind of familiar. Some of them you might have touched on a little bit, but I try to respect that people send in questions, and so if they're a little bit redundant, I apologize. Do you have any specific plans that you commit to implementing as council to schedule monthly and annual preventative maintenance jobs? And that's specifically what you're saying you are going to do, not some idea that you got. What are you going to do? You get elected, we'll start getting.
Okay. If elected, I would look at the current, they say there's some kind of schedule. I would look at that schedule and also try to speak with the town employees, because they're part of the team, and find out what things on that schedule they're familiar with, what things they feel that they need more training on or help. You know, it might be too big of a job for two people. I would commit definitely to making sure that we get back on track to maintaining what we have in our town, and giving the education to the employees is number one.
Skip over to Jimmy. Work out.
Okay, that sounds like a very reasonable plan that any one of us would commit to. Find out where we need to work on, and then accomplish that goal. That would be one of the priorities that I would maintain as well.
Mr. Weaver?
Boy, they're stealing my thunder.
You can have
I say same.
Yeah, so,
Same answer.
like Jim and Jamie both said, review what we've got, get rid of what we don't need, and add what we do. I always used to tell my students it's always easier to keep up than catch up. If we maintain the things that we have, review the schedule, make sure that everything is working properly, we'll be golden. We won't be wasting money replacing stuff that we could have done a long time ago. We have to be diligent in our jobs. If somebody says, well, I'm not going to do that, one of our employees, well, then find another job. You don't want to do what your job requires, then we'll replace you. There's always people out there that can replace you. You're not irreplaceable. So, yeah, I would, I would definitely say, check the maintenance schedule and make sure that things are working okay, see what we've spent money on in the past, and make sure we don't have to just keep, pouring good money after bad.
Maintenance will help with prevention, so we need to maintain our systems and keep them going.
Okay, this is another commitment type of question. If elected to council, what do you commit to do as a member of council to improve communication between citizens and government officials? I think that would be you guys.
I'll go with that one.
Cool.
And I don't mind talking to people. If somebody sees me on the street and they have a question for me or a complaint, I'm good with it. Talk to me. Well, the wife wouldn't agree with that, but I'm a pretty good listener, usually. Communication is the key. You've got to be able to communicate, let people know what your concerns are, and then take them to wherever they need to go. Let the next person know so we can get whatever it is resolved. Maybe they have a good idea that we hadn't thought of. And it could be something, that could help the town. Just, we gotta let other council members know, let the mayor know, let the employees know. That's it.
I would be more than happy to speak with people, but I think more importantly, at the town council meetings, asking the questions in front of the public and expecting to get full answers. Now, I have 8 years as mayor, so I can help answer a lot of those questions. And I do try to sometimes at the meetings when there's a question about our water and sewer systems and grants and loans and things. I'm more than willing to talk to people. People call me at my house. People come by my house. I welcome that because I got all this knowledge and I can share it and I can help people to understand some of the problems that we're having. I'm more than happy to work with anybody to see this town do well.
Keeping the lines of communication open and being a good listener. And maybe being able to help solve some of the problems that come up.
Mr. Gorshak?
Okay, I agree that it needs to be communication, but also remember, we have a office that is open Monday through Friday from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. I've never found it to be intimidating to go into the office and ask questions, regardless of what it is. And we do try, as a council and as the mayor and the clerk and treasurer, to answer questions. Perhaps not always to the degree that everyone would like, but you do get answers. That's it.
You can finish up your time, so I'll give you a little longer.
Okay, I would also encourage the council members to go to community events. Go to community events, during the yard sale that's coming up, walk around, go to the yard sales, visit with the people, be seen in public. And that way you look like more approachable and people will feel a little less uneasiness to come and ask you a question. Show up at things, support things that are going on in the community and come and have fun with your neighbors.
Thank you for that, Matt. Next thing, somebody asked, can you commit to setting up a town council email or something that you can be contacted and ask questions or asked to bring something up? So we went with the first last time. We'll jump over here. You keep talking, you want to talk.
Of course, I'm surprised if we don't already have that. Do we have emails for the council, folks? Okay, I imagine we do. I know that there are phone numbers probably posted on the office to get ahold of people by phone, but that's definitely a great idea, because especially the younger generation, that's how they communicate, so.
I know town clerk got an email because I used it, but I don't know about council, and it was just questions submitted, so.
Right.
I just have a quick question. Do the board members have phones that are provided by the town? Or do you have to use your personal cell phone? Okay.
Use your own.
That's why an email will probably be a little less intrusive or revealing.
At 2 a.m, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people just want to be able to reach out and talk to people, and that's just, I'm getting through the questions submitted, but I'm neutral out here. How do you plan to gain the trust of the people that you serve and add transparency to the position? How are you going to gain the trust of the people you serve and add transparency to the position?
I'll answer that. Well, do what you say you're gonna do. You know, if you tell somebody that something is going to be done about whatever their concern is, do it. You know, I mean, if it's at all possible, keep your word. Your word is the most important thing you got. If people don't trust you, they're not gonna talk to you. They're just gonna go, oh yeah, we didn't tell you anything just to get you away. But, you know, you gotta just show them. Actions speak louder than anything.
Let's go this way. Come on.
I believe the same thing. I always have. When I say something, I do it. It's that simple.
Okay.
Trust is something that's earned, not expected. And so by setting an example and showing people that you can be trusted, that's really important. If you say you're going to get some information about something, make sure that you get back to them. As far as transparency goes, I hope to bring transparency to the meetings that are recorded, which is a great form of transparency. I'm really happy for the camera that is at all the council meetings now. You have to understand what's going on in your town to be able to talk to the people in the town about the issues. When they come to you and they want to know, why is the water system doing this? What are those barricades up for? You should be able to tell them, because nothing should be a secret. There's, you know, it's government, and you're supposed to be honest with the people, whether it's good or bad. It's not always going to be a fairy tale story that you can give somebody. Sometimes you gotta tell them the bad parts, and sometimes you gotta tell them that they're wrong. It's just being straightforward and honest and upfront with people. Then they can trust you. If they feel like you're hiding things or playing games with them, they don't respect you and they don't like it.
I'm willing to be open, honest, and be available to answer any questions and all questions that I am able to. So,
I'd just like to add one thing real quick. You can demand respect or you can command respect. And it's way better if you can command respect. You've earned it.
All right. Another one of those questions to them all. At last meet the candidates forum, I asked you guys if you had read the published codes of planning or researched some of them, gotten involved Have you spent any time since then, maybe researching, reading, looking at codes that you might want to change, update, etc.? Because you guys are going to be in charge of those codes, I think that you need to know them. We'll start with Myra.
I've gone through the codes and the ordinances, and because I want to know what's in them, so that I am able to talk on them if I am asked.
Would you change anything?
Pardon?
Would you change anything?
Some, yes.
What specifically?
Well, right now, I don't know, but I have done some research and thought, well, this could be a little different. But I can't tell you exactly which ones at this point.
Jamie?
Yes, I'm very familiar with the codes and the ordinances, which they were originally called. I do keep up on the newer ordinances that get passed. I may not agree with all of them. Not wanting to talk about anything at this meeting. I will wait until elected if I am, and then I will address those issues in a proper way with the council, and a group of 5 people make that decision. I would welcome the opinions of the other council members so that we all make the decision together, because people think differently, people see things differently. It's a working thing, the ordinances, and it takes 5 people on a council to make sure that we have different views and we're able to come up with ordinances that are, in the end, the best for our community. Thank you.
My assistant over here wants to know what you changed to.
Yeah.
Teasing.
Well, I had said that I wasn't.
I know.
Okay.
Jump over here, James White.
Okay,
Dorshak, sorry.
there are quite a few ordinances that, some of them are still in force, some of them when they were initially made, they still hold value. And there are some that, need to be changed. But, I believe that you need to have a consensus of people. If you're going to change an ordinance, you need to have a consensus of people and what is going to be best for the town overall, not just any special interest. And that's what I believe.
Why?
I haven't had the occasion to look up the ordinances lately. They're kind of a slow read. They get a little confusing sometimes. You confuse one ordinance with another and the different aspects of the ordinances. As long as you know where to look, then you can refresh your memory or learn something. Yeah, like I said in the first meeting that we had, I would like to get a community team together to look at the ordinances and to update or recommend deletion or whatever is necessary, because things have changed since the town was first established. Cars. 4-wheelers.
No horses.
Yeah, horses.
That's one of them.
3 chickens.
All right. We'll stay on you and go back around. There's been talk lately after the threats to a owner of a UTV that was spraying his weeds about should UTVs be allowed, should they not be allowed? So regarding the use of street legal, registered side-by-side style vehicles inland, what is your opinion on threatening owners and operators of these vehicles with fines or punishments?
If they're licensed by the state, I have no problem with them whatsoever being on the road. It's the ones that the kids are allowed to be running up and down the alleys and shooting across the streets that make it hard. But if it's licensed and it's being used for something constructive that will help the town, help the homeowner, I have no problem with it.
Myra?
Well, I'm really not in favor of it. And I do think the kids should not be allowed to be on them. They have no clue. They shoot through the alleys out into the street. And like I said, at one point in time, we had 3 young men, little men, on scooter-type vehicles, and they shot across the Highway 21 down here with a truck coming. I actually turned my back because I expected to see somebody get hurt really bad or killed.
Just to clarify, we are talking about ones with a license plate that are street legal and registered, not a little kid on a motorcycle or something. So that, I think the issues are getting conflated together, and they're two completely separate things. It's a street legal registered vehicle, that just like your Honda or Ford or whatever. So,
We have a lot of elderly people in town, and I don't think they want to fight the vehicles. So.
My thoughts mirror Jim's. As long as it is street legal, registered with a licensed driver, I would definitely be glad to look into that and see what other towns have done and see how we can make it be a win-win for people on both sides of the concerns.
if we've got time before it's too late, then I'll do audience questions.
This is just simple. I thought we had a state law. We have a state law, but a town ordinance is not on the right. And if it's a state law, then you have no right to say it here.
You would think, but, yeah, I'm not going to get into it right now.
I'm just saying.
You got certain members that.
Okay,
Back to education.
ordinance 2103 was put into action because the town does not have a police force of its own. Okay. All four-wheel drive vehicles that are, whether they're licensed or not, are prohibited within the town limits. In order to use them, you can put them on a trailer, move them to a state highway where they cannot exceed 35 miles an hour, as I recall. Until this town decides to employ a police force of its own. There is no other authority that is going to enforce if there are 3 kids on a four-wheeler or in a side-by-side, irrespective of that. The town is liable and we carry insurance because we do not have a police force. Okay. If the town is willing to go with a police force of its own, and then you can change the ordinance to what you will. But as it is currently, they are not allowed, they are prohibited on the streets, alleyways in the town of Benton.
And what ordinance is that again?
2103.
This is our legal ordinance.
So, you said it's 50 more.
That's what I heard.
Last time I went 3 hours, luckily we only got. If you are against UTV use, how can you justify the town workers driving around on Highway 21, which is illegal in one? How do you justify
There are
that?
I
provisions.
don't understand that.
It's illegal on Highway 21 because it's a highway, but just saying, how do you justify that, what the hypocrisy there, and try to get the respect of the people that, of the town?
I say, until it changes, that if somebody can come up with a police force or some way of enforcing,
Isn't that what a code enforcer is for?
I'm sorry,
You have a code enforcer that you pay
we have a code enforcer. That is not his job
to enforce those.
to enforce that particular code. That would be a full-time job.
Oh, we'll just move on to switch subjects. Speaking of code enforcement officers, it has not achieved much beyond dividing a bunch of people in town. So, again, are you for or against that expenditure? Do you think that it has been beneficial or detrimental to the relations in town,
I believe
as well as
that,
the budget?
okay, I believe that the code enforcement officer job is to find people who are not in compliance, send them letters, hopefully, that the courtesy letters that are sent will, spark the people to do what they haven't done. Also, when the courtesy letters go out, you can always come into the town office and try to seek a remedy. Okay. Remember, nothing goes into effect where you obtain a fine for something unless you have letters that you've received in regards to the violation. I think it's a fairly fair system. You want the town like that? That's one way that we do it.
Mr. White?
I have mixed feelings on it. I get the feeling that a lot of the town people don't respect the position. And, so they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do whatever it is that, how many places have been cleaned up so far in the last couple of years? They've got letters and letters and letters, and nothing happens. It's, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's good. Sometimes I think it's not meted out fairly. Some big offenders, they've got some big things going on, and they don't see it. He doesn't see it. And other people, it's like they're nitpicking. Their fence is 6 inches too tall, or whatever. It really doesn't matter. Yes, it's an ordinance, but it's not a matter of life and death. So I don't know. I've just got mixed feelings on it. Sorry.
Myra?
I like the idea. We have had some trash moved and some vehicles gotten rid of, and some properties cleaned up.
I'm on the fence. I think it needs to be reviewed. I haven't looked at the job description lately, and I do agree that it needs to be handed out fairly, the letters, of course. If you're gonna have an ordinance, it doesn't just go towards one group of people or not towards one group of people. I think it needs to be done fairly. When I was mayor, I was the code enforcement officer, and I would go and talk with people, or I would send a letter. And I found that people usually responded well. There are some situations here in our town where I don't think people know what planet they live on, let alone to read a letter and clean up a front yard. So it's tough. It's tough. I'll leave it at that.
One thing I would just like to add is, sometimes they use these aerial views, the satellite pictures. They're not up to date unless you're military or law enforcement. Then they're pretty much right up to date. But otherwise, they can be 2 or 3 years old. So I wouldn't rely too much on those satellite pictures.
Next one is just a simple yes or no. I think there's, I got a couple messages about people, and a couple of you guys touched on it. the hypocrisy in the enforcement of the codes, the selectiveness in the enforcement of codes. Some people get harassed, some people don't, some people just get away with whatever. And I think it kind of it is getting to some people. So if elected to council, can you commit to eliminating every one of your code violations and abiding by the code that you're trying to implement on the people? No junk vehicles, no weeds, no violations. If somebody brings it up, somebody comes to council, you get rid of it, because you got to abide by the same codes that you're enforcing.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with it too. I try to keep my place cleaned up and nice and neat. If I trimmed a tree, I can't take it anywhere right now. Otherwise, it would go to the town dump. But that's the only thing right now that I'm lacking in, is just getting rid of the tree branches.
Or behind my place.
Okay. Be there tomorrow.
I've got a one pile of house down behind my place.
I would expect to abide by the codes. I'm no better than anybody else.
Yes, of course, I would do my best to follow the code. And we do.
This one's just gonna go to, and I'm trying to read through some of the remaining questions. I basically cut them out of messages, threw them into a note where they're just all there, and I'm trying to weed out some of them so we can kind of wrap this up. But Mr. Dorshak, we'll start with you. Basically, what have you done in that position? We kind of went over this last time. Well, what have you done in that position that you think you deserve to retain that position? What have you initiated, started, implemented that has improved this town?
Okay. Ready for the list? There are a few items here. In 2017-18, the FEMA Frosty road improvements, I was part of that. The 2019-2020 DBG and Department of Commerce water system improvements. In 2020, the USDA Vulcan Street emergency water line repair. In 2020, the Lynn Cemetery water line. In 2021-22, the TIB 5th Street resurfacing. In 2022, the USDA Southside lift station repair. The 2022-23 well line repair and replacement. In 2021-23, the PWB water line and road resurfacing of 8th Street, and the adoption of an updated critical area ordinance, as well as I'm the one of the financial officers for the town of Linden, and have been so for approximately 9 years.
Just to clarify, did you initiate those, or like what?
I
Were you just kind of in
partook
the
in
seat when that happened?
bringing them to fruition and bringing them to light and making sure that they got done.
So you wrote the proposals and you initiated the stuff?
I did not initiate the majority of the proposals, but I did read the proposals and work on getting them passed and the work done.
Thank you. Myra?
In 2019, I was on board with the water system improvements through CDBG and the cemetery water line in 2020. And 2020 also Vulcan Street water line. And that was a USDA-RD grant. And 2022, the lift station, which is all is USDA. And 2022 again, 5th Street improvements with the ADA sidewalks. 2023, well number 7 rehabilitation emergency loan. And 2023 again, the water and roadway for Coyle Loop and 8th Street.
Thank you, Myra. So I gave you both a feel-good question, but again, I think that I received a lot of questions about this one, How do we trust you, Myra, to listen to us as your constituents after you voted multiple times to not allow anybody to talk, to not allow anybody to submit questions? But then last meeting, you let some guy come in for 45 minutes and talk, but the rest of us residents aren't allowed to talk. And,
You, say that again.
you voted prior to silence the people, not allow people to talk in meetings. So how do people trust that you care about what they say or how they feel at this point?
I believe what it was that we were having so many interruptions and people talking over everybody that I did vote to silence during the meetings. You can talk afterwards, but to interrupt meetings is not fair to everybody that's there.
Mr. Rorschach?
Okay, instead of having oral debates, I felt that within the RCW 1329, that it was allowable to have written questions, probably for the same purpose, rather than having people interrupting the meetings continually to and then to answer the questions. There was no idea or restriction of telling people they couldn't say anything at the meetings. We just changed the form. Then it was proposed that by some of the council members that that was not the correct procedure, or it didn't serve the purpose that it was intended to serve. And so it was brought back to doing oral presentations again. And I must say that the vehemence of some people when they got up to speak was displaced by people acting in a more calm and courteous manner afterwards.
Okay, now, one last question. Last time I tried to leave on the feel-good question, I tried to do the same thing this time, but you all got kind of cloudy memories, so we'll see if it works out. At the last candidate forum, we had like 10 of you people up here, and there was some great ideas. A lot of those candidates obviously did not get voted up to the election now, and so is there any one of the ideas that got brought up last time, of all of the stuff that was talked about, that you are willing to take as your own and implement for the town?
I love Jim.
And please give credit to who had that idea.
I love Jim Weederman's idea about more storage for our water. If we're gonna have these ongoing issues with water, why not get more storage? What a great idea. That's the great thing about working in a group, different people from different backgrounds, is you get these great ideas that fly out of somebody that no one else has thought about, really. And Jim, it was brilliant, and I think it's something worth looking into.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Myra?
I would like to see people working together. There's been a lot of negativity, and it doesn't help the town. So we really need to start working together.
And who said that last time? We're trying to give credit and recognize the people that are no longer in the race, if that makes sense.
I don't remember who said it, but
Thank you, ma'am.
I give myself credit. I was thinking about the community team to work on updating the ordinances. I think that's really important to bring them up to today's standards instead of the years back.
Kitchen post for a horse?
Yeah, something like that. Got to have the gold knobs on it. Yeah, that's the ordinance.
Okay, PJ Jacobson brought the idea. We have to find other ways of getting water. Okay. We can't rely on the aquifer. it's been stated, I don't know how many ways, that it is depleting itself and it is not restoring to the levels that are acceptable. Okay, so I took that as kind of a haircut idea. She said, you gotta think outside the box. And that's exactly what I tried to do by using 2 different sources of obtaining water. And I do credit her with putting that right idea forward. And I tried to implement it, and I'm still working on it. And I will continue to do so because not only is it incumbent upon council members, okay, but it's incumbent upon all of us, okay. If we start getting all of our elected officials and saying, hey, look, we know certain things are here. Okay. We also have some thoughts that we need to have alternate methods of obtaining water. Why not?
Here, here.
More than one voice.
I agree. Totally.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
Because it's, I didn't, when I looked at these different Congress people, I never identified myself as a town council member for the town of Lynn. I just, as a person.
There's a pipeline 20 miles down the road.
Right. Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We could eliminate so many problems and we could move forward on so many areas.
There's the pipeline.
And that's right.
Cool. Again, a reminder, Mrs. Allison, well, thank you all candidates.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Mr. Leader, thank you.